Welcome to Gotta Run. This is Will Sanchez. My special guest today is Alison Désir. Alison is the founder of Harlem Run. We're going to learn all about this wonderful organization, a running organization right here in Harlem, New York, from Alison.
Thank you very much.
Listen, before we go into Harlem Run, and I love your outfit.
A little bit of style.
Oh, and Under Armour. The shoes too?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so I have a feeling we know one of your sponsors.
Absolutely.
Well, before we go into this organization you started, it's relatively young, right? 22 years old?
Exactly, yeah.
Well, let's learn about yourself. Sure. Where were you born? A little bit about your childhood.
Yeah. So I was born in Harlem, New York, but I grew up in New Jersey. I went to music school in Harlem. I was always in the city because my father worked at Harlem Hospital. And then I moved back to Harlem for college. I went to Columbia in 2003. Then I worked for a little bit. I went back to Columbia again. I got my first master's, and now I'm actually getting my second master's in counseling psychology.
I'm already impressed. Wait a minute. But you have an interesting name. Is it French? What's your heritage?
Yeah, so my father's Haitian, so French last name, Haitian last name, and my mother's Colombian. So they both came to this country at different times. My dad was 27 when he came, and my mom was 14, and they met in Harlem.
The melting pot.
Exactly.
That's wonderful. Well, I'm sure there's a love story there, but we'll save that for another day.
I have a brother who's just a couple years older than me, and then I have 3 sisters as well.
Oh, what a household.
Yeah, great family.
And what kind of cuisine? I mean, you got Spanish and Haitian?
Well, you know, it's funny. I mean, my mom cooked, but the minute that we were old enough to cook, my mom was like, the kitchen is closed. It's up to you guys.
So when the family gets together, there's plenty of food.
Yeah, it's not me cooking, but I'm eating.
Okay, so you must have been a good student in high school.
I've always been really focused, and actually my nickname is Powdered Feet. That's now my Instagram handle, what I use on social media, and that comes from when I was young, growing up, I was always involved in all of these different activities. And so my mom was like, you know, you have powdered feet. It's a Haitian Creole saying that means you never see the person, you just see the footprints of where they've been in powder.
Getting to Columbia, you know, it's a challenge. Yeah. So that's excellent. And so in school, not only were you good in academics, but you had enough energy that you were doing all sorts of sports?
Yeah, so I was on the soccer team. I played basketball in middle school. In high school, I focused on winter track and spring track, and that's where I really excelled. I was always really fast, and I was a short distance runner in high school. And so I just found that, as I find now, the physical component helped me actually with everything else. If I had any stress in school or just, you know, life stress in general, I was able to take that out through sports.
Excellent. What did you study in college again?
I studied history in undergrad.
Oh, history. Oh, that's wonderful. Wonderful. I have had history majors. George Hirsch, the chairman of the Roadrunners, was a history major.
I'm in good company.
So, good company. Now, after college, you needed to start a career for yourself. What was that process?
So it was a struggle because, again, I had all of these interests. I really didn't know what I wanted to focus on. So I started working at a law firm immediately after college. I thought that I was going to go to law school. I didn't like that. So then I started working at a charter school, actually, in Harlem. And I started doing development work. So I was fundraising and throwing events. And through that process, I found myself, so through the event planning process, I found this organization that was doing work actually in Haiti and the Dominican Republic, fundraising and providing support there. So I got a job there, and that launched me into my first master's. My master's was in Latin American and Caribbean Studies, and I focused on, you know, issues of immigration at the border of Haiti and the Dominican Republic. I came into running in that process also because of life circumstances. My father was diagnosed with dementia, and he was getting sick. And as a result, I found myself depressed, just like a lot going on in my family, and I started running. And once I started running, everything changed for me.
Really? So, how old was your father when he was diagnosed?
He was 70.
70?
Yeah, so he's still alive. He's been alive for a long time with the diagnosis, but it's a very hard disease.
Yeah, it is. And they still don't have a cure for it.
Yeah.
They know how to delay it by keeping the brain active.
Exactly.
And running is one way.
Absolutely.
And doing puzzles and all sorts of things.
Yeah, my dad was sick, and the combination of that and really not having direction. Like I was good at all these things and I was passionate, but I didn't know, like, how do you create an actual career? How do you find a job that's fulfilling? And so, you know, my friends were all, I went to school with really bright people. So they were working at investment banks and at law firms and making money and meeting all these milestones that I wasn't meeting. And so that, my father's illness, and then just a bad relationship, all of these things really made me depressed. And I sat down and I created a list of all these different things that I could do to make myself feel better. And I just so happened to find out that my friend's brother had run a marathon with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's team in training. And I was like, you know what? Like, why not? I have nothing to lose. Let me get back into running, something that I used to love. And through that process, it brought me to where I am today.
You founded Harlem Run.
Yeah. So I trained for my first marathon with Team in Training.
Okay.
I raised over $5,000, and I was like, this is incredible to do something, to run for other people, raise a ton of money, get the community
Oh,
involved.
that's great. Yeah. The Manhattan Group?
Yes, exactly, the Manhattan Group.
Who was the coach at the time?
Coach Conlon. I love him.
Michael Conlon.
Yes.
He's great.
He's the best. And so, I mean, really, he took interest in me, and he was like, you know what, you're very talented, you're fast, you're disciplined, you're determined, and all of these, again, like life skills were coming back to me. I was like, oh, I'm powerful. If I say I'm going to do something, I can actually execute it and do it.
Okay. Like most young people, you're trying to find your way in the world, and it's interesting that you decided to run for charity, and you couldn't have picked a better one than the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And Michael Conlon he's a master motivator.
Yeah.
Has his own shop. You
Yeah,
know.
I go there all the time.
Finish Line.
I refer
Give him a
everyone
shout
there.
out.
Yeah, Finish Line.
That's great. But why Harlem Run? I mean, you could have joined the Harriers or Warren Street, but you decided, no, I'm going to do my own group.
Yes.
Why your own group?
So I ran my first marathon in 2012 with Team in Training, and I started blogging about the experience under my nickname, powderedfeet.com. And I found that my friends and family started getting interested in what I was doing and interested in fitness in general. And I was living in Harlem, and I was like, you know what? I want to create the tangible expression of what I'm writing about. I want to share this experience with other people. November 2013, it was, one of the coldest days of the year, but I was like, today is the first day of, it was then called Powdered Feet Run Club. So I was looking for friends in the neighborhood. I was just looking for other people who had similar interests. And I think the reason why I wanted to start my own organization is because community is really important to me. Not that it's not important to these other groups, but I knew that for me, running would be the vehicle that we used to bond as a community. So it's not just about the running, it's not just about the times, it's really about bringing people together.
Okay, so it was cold November, and you wrote to your friends, meet me at probably an ungodly hour.
Well, no, it was in the evening, but then, I mean, nobody was looking to run at 7 p.m. on a Monday, right? So I told everybody, come meet me, and I showed up, and it was just me.
Really?
It was me by myself for about a month and a half, and then this brave soul, Krista, she showed up one day, like, is this where the Run Club meets? And she was my first, so she's the reason why Harlem Run became a thing, because you need your first follower, right?
Probably very good at social media.
Yeah.
So why do you think people weren't coming?
I think, timing. So it was cold. I think also there wasn't anything like it in Harlem yet. So I think people already had whatever other groups they were running with. And it's hard when you're by yourself. What I found is that, again, this sense of community, that's what's so huge. Because now each of us, talks about Harlem Run and shares it with other people. But when you're doing something by yourself, it's just, it's harder to get the message out.
It was also hard to get out of bed because you're the only one going to be there. But you managed to. You got out of bed.
Yes.
Well, actually, it was 7 o'clock. So you got out of work. And now you're Mondays and Thursday at 7 o'clock.
Exactly.
Where do you meet?
So Mondays we meet at 7 o'clock at Harlem Shake on 124th and Lenox. And that's our social run. It's 3 to 6 miles. And Thursday night we meet at 6:30 at Harlem United on 125th and Lenox. And the workout starts at 7. So Thursday is a speed workout. So we'll go to Central Park and do Harlem Hill, or we'll go to...
Harlem Hill for speed work?
Yeah.
Up that hill, and then back down. You call that speed work? That's torture.
Speed work, torture, similar. We do track work as well. We really like, on both Monday and Thursday, we like to make use of all the parks and community spaces in our neighborhood.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about Manhattan. We're dying for spaces. So Central Park is nearby. What are some of the other parks you go to?
We go to Marcus Garvey Park, and we do a speed workout around the park. We go to Thomas Jefferson Park on the east side. We run the stairs of Morningside Park. It's really an opportunity to make the park safer also, because the more use the parks get, the more people are held accountable for what they're doing in the parks, and they see us, and we're coming to make use of the park as it should be used.
Okay. Well, I mentioned your outfit. Well, tell us, obviously you have some design talent, or somebody in your team does. How did you come up with the logo and so forth?
Yeah. One of my friends in Boston, he has a design company, and so I reached out to him and I told him all of my ideas. I was like, I want I was all over the place initially. I was like, I want brownstones in it. I want this in it. I want the Apollo. It has to have everything. And what he helped me realize is really a simple design that, you know, is like catchy, would really make the most impact. So it has the
so there's a shoe
little
there.
sneaker. Yeah.
So, oh, that's a great design.
Yeah.
You know, HR, you could think of home run, you could think home rule,
Right.
you could stand for it. But you see that shoe,
Exactly.
says,
Yeah.
Oh, and the cap, I love the cap.
Thank you.
Same guy came up with the design.
This actually is a local vendor in the Bronx. Sweet 2112, I believe, is the name of the company. And he makes really great stuff. So we like to keep our stuff like fun and interesting because it's a great brand just to see and to feel a part of. So we like making stuff.
You call it a cycling club. Does that mean you have a tri club as well?
No, we just like the look.
I love that look. I think I mentioned to you Dick Beardsley,
Yeah.
the great longtime runner. He still runs. He ran with, they call it a painter's cap. Roadrunners has the Percy Sutton 5K.
Yeah.
Are there any other running venues in Harlem that you like?
I mean, Harlem Run has our own race also in Marcus Garvey Park, the Harlem 1 Miler. Last year was the first year of it. So it's a 1 mile road race around the park. So it's pretty technical because it's not like the Fifth Avenue Mile where it's straight shot. You're going, corners.
Is it 5 loops?
It's a loop and a little bit makes it 1 mile.
Wow.
So that's a race that we put together because the mile it's a distance that you can race your hardest, but it's also a distance that's really friendly for people who are new.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what Harlem Run really is about. It's about getting everybody involved, no matter your ability. So we wanted to have a race that somebody could come out and really smash a record on it, but then also like kids can come out and stroll with their family.
Oh, very much a community event.
Yeah.
So you're very community minded.
Yes.
I'm sure you have the great Senator Bill Perkins involved.
Absolutely. Perkins, he passes by on Monday nights. He comes and he speaks to us, and he's an incredible person and an incredible runner.
Oh,
so it's great to have...
he probably would have smashed that Marcus
the 1 miler.
because...
Absolutely.
and he probably beat everybody in all age groups. And he's 65, I believe.
I know.
He's amazing.
Great athlete.
You got a great senator there.
Yes.
And a great supporter.
Yes.
Speaking of Senator Perkins, as you know, there was this incident that Senator Perkins helped put a squash to, and that was the Harlem Half. Did you hear about that? Did you get involved in any way in that?
The only involvement that I did have is at the beginning of the process, the organizer, he contacted me and he said, look, I'm interested in throwing this event. I would love your support. And, I said to him, it's a very difficult process to get permits in the city and to make an event like this happen. It's the kind of thing you don't come out of nowhere and create this plan. You really need to build the community support. Yeah. So I advised him against it. I gave him the advice that I could about reaching out to the NYPD, reaching out to the various community boards, and then that's where I ended my involvement. And it's sad to see how it turned out because what an incredible thing it would be to have that event, but only if done correctly and with, stakeholders on board and aware of it.
You're very, very wise. Yeah. Very, very. That's great advice. Yeah. As you know, he did not take your advice or anybody else's advice.
Right.
And fortunately, we got Bill Perkins involved because it smelled like a lot of people were going to be more disappointed. Right.
Then that's the thing. It's just the disappointment. If we could all put our heads together and get this event to happen the proper way, then sure. But I think it's about respecting the community, respecting people's wishes, and making sure that you do things the right way.
Okay, cool. Who knows? Maybe the Harlem Half in the future might happen. And with people like you and Senator Perkins,
I hope so.
That could be the start. You know? Now, Harlem Run, it's only 2 years old now, right? Like you celebrated your anniversary like last month?
It was just 2 weeks ago, actually.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we had
about Thanksgiving.
Yeah, a birthday party for us.
Do you have favorite moments in Harlem Run that really said, wow, this is really going to take off? I mean, I'm really excited or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I have several. One of my favorite moments is the Harlem 1 miler was definitely a favorite moment. But this past summer, I mean, from week to week, it was almost like must-see TV coming out Monday night at 7. Like, you never knew who was going to come out. It was super warm on some nights. But this one night, we had the all-black run. So everybody showed up in all black, except for one person who showed up in all white.
Wise guy.
He didn't get the memo. But it was just so cool to see all of these people, all different ages, all different abilities, like walkers, runners. like committed to this idea, like, we're adults, but we can dress up, we can have fun with this, and then the community watches us, right? So people on the street cheer us on, and that's always the best part, having little kids join in on the run and parents shout out, like, how do my kids get involved?
Alison being confident makes me confident because she makes me feel like I can do something like this when I grow up.
It's just, that's what's really great about it.
Oh, that is wonderful. How to get kids involved.
Yeah.
So you might, I mean, you're only 2 years young and you got a lot of plans, but sounds like a youth program might be in the works.
It's funny because at the beginning I was like, do not bring your kids. Like, kids, I don't want anyone to get hurt. But, parents kept bringing their kids, and I was like, this is so powerful. Like a mom bringing her kid, a father bringing 5 of his children. So we started to embrace the idea, and we really, we're planning right now for the spring to have a kids program because they want it. The kids are bringing more and more of their friends. And as you said, Harlem has really high obesity rates, and it's a food desert in certain areas. So getting kids involved from a young age about health and fitness is
and you got to get into the schools, and it sounds like a good relationship with Roadrunners.
Yes.
And they do a lot of things with schools, with the Mighty Milers, with young runners. I mean, they've got so many. Were you getting involved in those as well?
Yes, not at this point, but I'm in touch with John Onerkamp at New York Roadrunners and a lot of great people over there. Just thinking about, okay, so how can I never thought that Harlem Run was going to become this movement, definitely not this fast. So,
especially the first day, only you.
Oh yeah, no. And my mom can attest to that. She was on the phone with me as I was crying. Nobody's coming. But so now it's a movement, and this is great. We have all these connections and access. So how can I make sure that we don't do too much too fast, but that we really can make the impact with the opportunity?
Oh, yeah. There are so many wonderful other organizations that can help you, that would give you some advice. You might have a little committee of advisors that, because you're right, you have to manage the growth. It's like a business.
Yes.
Well, is it a business for you?
So, that's another thing that we're looking at right now. I would love for this to be what I do full time. Already it is my full time. I mean, it takes up so much of my time. I'm in school, obviously, but Harlem Run is really what wakes me up in the morning, what I love to do. So I'm thinking, how can I convert this into something where I can actually have a living and continue to make the impact? Because it's not that I'm doing this for the money, but the reality is, I need to live.
Well, you need to pay the rent.
Exactly.
Is it going back to Columbia, getting a master's again?
In counseling psychology.
Counseling psychology, wow. So what kind of counseling would you do?
The reason why I want the degree is because I'm interested in the mental and the way that mental health is related to physical health. So Columbia Teachers College has this program in counseling psych that focuses on like social justice and the importance of multicultural competence. And so for me, all of these things come together. So I've created this community group that helps people feel better about themselves and that really embraces people of all ethnic backgrounds, racial, et cetera, et cetera. So I think of running as being a vehicle for social change. So while we get together and we run, people feel empowered, people start taking better care of themselves, the community. So I don't think I'll ever be doing one-on-one counseling, but I'll always infuse what I'm learning through that program and psychoeducational components into what I do.
Oh, that sounds terrific. When do you get this degree?
Planning for December 2016. I was going to finish in May, and then all of this stuff happened. And I
quite understand that. Besides Senator Perkins, you want to get others involved, the other council member for your community, go to the local boards and community boards and let them know what you're doing, and that everybody's welcome to come. The community board loves hearing about that, and down the road, you're going to need the help, especially if you're going to start something, maybe not the full marathon, maybe the Harlem Half.
Yeah.
Those are the people are going to help approve that. It's only 2 years old. I mean, you've done so much from going from yourself to how many now?
I mean, sometimes there are 150 people who show up on Monday. It's amazing.
You must have taken a survey. Well, how come you're coming? What was the biggest thing that was the tipping point for you?
I have 5 other captains who share responsibilities with me. So in that sense, we really do operate like a business because each of us has an assigned role. So we go back and forth about how did this happen? And we know that our passion and our commitment is part of it. And then people coming and really feeling a part of something and spreading the word. So I don't know if it was like one event or just by the time it got to this past summer, people had been watching us for so long that they decided they were going to come out. But we're just happy that they're coming.
It wasn't like a TV spot,
No, we started getting a lot of really good press in August, but the growth had already happened. So interesting story. Runner's World had reached out to me in June, and they said, we really want to do a story about, we want to do a small blurb about you for the marathon issue. Can you tell me about your group? So I wrote this long thesis about why they had to feature us. They got back to me like a month later and they're like, okay, now we want to actually cover you. And in that time, we had gone from maybe like 25 people showing up to 150 people showing up. So the spread that they did, they really came at the right time. And now people all over the country know who we are. We have requests for gear from all over the country. And that's really special too, because the Harlem Run community, you know, it's rooted in Harlem, but the feeling and the essence of it is certainly, you know, has a national appeal.
Oh, absolutely. It's a very similar story to Black Girls Run.
Yes.
They have a gear shop, and people can go log in and order Black Girls Run. Yeah. And they're totally free. I believe you don't have to charge initiation fees.
We don't charge anything, because the idea is we really want, even though $15 may be a very little for some, for other people that's prohibitive.
Absolutely.
So it's, you know, come as you are.
People will soon discover buying good sneakers costs money.
And that's the thing. You know, some people, myself included, we wear certain gear and this and this and that, but we emphasize it's really about having stuff that works for you. So finding a shoe that works.
Well, let's talk about Under Armour.
Yes.
It sounds like they're a sponsor.
Yes. Another really cool thing that happened this summer, Under Armour reached out to us. Well, we reached out to Under Armour, and they reached out to us saying that they'd heard about us and they loved what we were doing. And really our missions and our way of being just synced. Like, they're, you know, really gritty, and they don't quit, and they're sort of the underdog, and they're about like pulling people into this something bigger than themselves. So they're one of our sponsors now, and so they provide gear for the team. They provide wear testing opportunities where they'll come like bring shoes so people can get comfortable with the shoe, event support, and other really cool things. And it's just great to, again, we went from this like really small group to something that now other people are taking an interest in, and they want to help us grow our mission.
Oh, yeah, Under Armour is more than an underdog. They're a huge company.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll open up a store in Harlem.
I would love that. I think it's overdue.
I think they must be thinking of that, because I know they want to grow. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're not well known for their shoes, but obviously they're trying to make a dent at that market.
Yeah.
I think they're number 3 or something.
Yeah, I believe it's Nike, Adidas, Under Armour.
Under Armour. Yeah, they're going out. They're moving on up.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, they came out with a shoe a couple of years ago, didn't go over well, and then they went back to the studio and came up with a lot of really great stuff. So it's also a unique opportunity for us to give our feedback, embrace the brand, and you know, we want what's best for ourselves. And for
I love their shirts and their pants and I haven't tried their shoes yet.
I could recommend a few for you.
Okay. I have some shoe issues, but we'll talk about it. Once you get your degree, so you're hoping to make this a full-time?
Yeah. So not just Harlem Run itself, but also I'm thinking about ways that I can put together psychoeducational workshops for the community. So again, going into the schools, I would love to speak to, you know, young girls, young people of color about the way that sports and really, you know, music, other things as well, but the way that these things can be transformative, and they're not extra. These things like must be a part of your life, you know? And so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, they have Girls on the Run, you know.
Yeah, another great program.
New York Road Runners can be a gateway or conduit for you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you need to work rather than reinventing the wheel. I mean, you've done so much.
I know. I'm not inventing anything else.
You're obviously a leader.
Thank you.
That's great. Well, listen, is there anything you want to cover that we didn't cover?
I just want to say that we really are at a stage where, like you said, we're looking for support, we're looking for connections, we're looking for input. So I'm really open to that, and I think collaboration is why we've gotten this far. So if anyone out there is looking to collaborate and wants to get in touch, please do reach out to us, harlemrun.com. We run Harlem at Gmail, at Harlem Run on Instagram. It's, you know, like you said, I don't want to reinvent the wheel, and I know that there are people out there who can help us. So.
Oh, absolutely. Well, listen, on that note, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. This is wonderful.
Pleasure.